When Demon Slayer Sweep the Board got announced, many fans were disappointed that a party game was being made instead of a sequel to the arena fighter Hinokami Chronicles. But what if I told you that CyberConnect 2, the developer of Hinokami Chronicles, is also the developer of this game, and they've hidden away some Demon Slayer 2 content in this board game right here. Now, I'm very much looking forward to Demon Slayer 2 as well, and it is my full belief that CC2 is using this game to gain time. To gain an extra year or two to make the next arena fighter as good as it can possibly be. And how are they actually using this game to do it? It's very clever. They're actually making Demon Slayer 2 content and reusing it for this board game right here. Now, some of it is something as simple as character models. If you browse through this character select screen, you'll notice that a lot of these characters are actually not playable in Hinokami Chronicles. But it's more than that. They have new ultimate attacks here, surge animations, story moments, all of those hidden away in boss fights which look like this. And that's what I want to look at today. I want to go through every single boss fight that Sweep the Board has to offer, because every single one of them could contain hints for Demon Slayer 2. And now that I'm not the only person out there saying that Demon Slayer 2 is actually getting made, if what we see today is not enough to convince you, then I don't know what is. But first, let me explain how Sweep the Board works so you understand how these cutscenes are showing up. When you start the game, it will be daytime, and the 4 players are racing to make it to this destination point. As soon as the first player makes it, the day turns to night, and the demons come out. If you manage to trigger a demon boss fight, that's when you'll have a series of quick-time events that usually lead to a demon's ultimate attack or a finishing move from one of the Slayers. Now, sadly, it doesn't matter which Slayer you pick for this. You can't just pick Obanai and see what his ultimate would look like. But let me show you exactly what I mean. This game has 5 boards in total, and each board has 2 demons for you to defeat. We're gonna start with board number 1, which has the Hen Demon, as well as Yahaba and Susamoto, which I guess are 3 demons. Yahaba and Susamoto are a single battle in this game, so it's still 2 encounters, technically. Now, luckily, we can just select the boss fight in free training, and we don't have to actually play the board game here. We don't have to launch dice and leave it up to chance how fast we're gonna get these boss fights. No, we can just jump straight in. Every boss fight is gonna work similar. There's a bunch of quick time events. There are usually timing, or you have to point in a specific direction. This one is timing, for instance. You just have to time it perfectly with the rocks. Now, you will notice that the demon throwing rocks, he's doing an animation that might be familiar if you've played Hinokami Chronicles story mode. That's because it's exactly the same animation, by the way. There's also this one, which is his surge animation. I think it's also present in the story mode of Hinokami Chronicles, as well as these 2 punches. I just gotta mash here as fast as I can in order to stop the punches from coming in. Now, this is pretty minor stuff. They might go, is it really the same? Did they just make something similar? Well, look at this cutscene. He sees the thread. He's gonna slice it. Okay, so that... Obviously, the cutscene doesn't end because they want you to do the quick time event afterwards, but that is a 1-to-1 with a story mode cutscene. It's not the full cutscene, but those shots are exactly the same. It's not like they reanimated this stuff for the board game. No, they reused. It's the exact same stuff. Now, I think the reusing is actually perfect. I mean, if you've done such a good job with the first Demon Slayer story mode, which I love that first story mode for sure, then why not reuse those animations here in this boss fight? That said, what happens when we get to Gyoko and Hatengu? We don't have a story mode to pull from, or do we? If you're making Demon Slayer 2, then you just recycle those story mode animations and put them into Sweep the Board. And it's not just story mode, let's check out the other boss fight in this first board. This is the encounter that has Susamoto and Yahaba at the same time, and I do have to apologize ahead of time for triggering some potential PTSD. If you are a Hinokami Chronicles player, yeah, I know you're probably getting triggered just by seeing Susamoto on screen, but trust me, it's gonna get a lot worse, okay? Yep. That's her ultimate. That's straight up her ultimate. That is not an animation that is in story mode at all. That is her ultimate in the Hinokami Chronicles game in the Arena Fighter. Straight up. And that is all that Susamoto gets for this game. It's the ultimate animation. Then we move on to Yahaba, who actually does not have any of his movesets in this game at all. All you have is a finishing animation from Tanjiro from story mode. It's how that encounter ends. And actually, this is probably the fastest boss fight. You just fill this up real quick, and we're straight into Tanjiro. Notice the headband on top of his head. That is definitely a moment from story mode. And obviously, it once again does not end. You don't see the decapitation, because they want you to do this quick time event. That is board number 1 of 5, and 5 does have new stuff because it has new demons, but it's not the only board that has new stuff. And because I noticed this in other boards, I have to see all of them just in case there's something new here. Board number 2 is the Drum Mansion as well as the Natagomo Mountain, so we're gonna fight against Kyogai as well as Rui. Now, I believe that all the Kyogai animations come from story mode, so there's no hints here that he will be a playable character in Hinokami Chronicles 2. You know, I was actually looking for that, because this is a character I would love to see playable, but I don't know. At least there's no hints here. He could still be playable. There's just no hints in this game that he will be. They just reuse stuff from the first game's story mode. Can we fill up the bar quicker, please? There you go, there you go. And here comes the first animation. So this is actually before his boss fight begins. That little eye thing, that happens before the boss fight begins. And then I think it's a little shot of a surge animation that he does mid-fight. Okay, we flip around the room until we reach this point, and Tanjiro is going to do his finishing animation. Once again, straight out of story mode. It's 1-to-1. It's exactly the same. And we finish it right there. Perfect timing. Oof. Rui, I believe, is all from story mode as well, so nothing new here. There's no hints of an updated moveset or anything like that. Oh, right, I forgot. Rui is just mashing. So you mash a bunch on this fight just to destroy the spider webs. And it's, I don't know about you, but it's kind of hard for me to talk while mashing as hard as I possibly can. I'm doing my best to keep my voice straight, because if I let go, I will just go, But here's the animation. Yeah, story mode animation for sure. And now, I love this quick time events, by the way. Especially when you're playing against players. I'm playing against bots here. But against players, it's whoever gets the direction first. So it's a reaction contest. And here comes Tanjiro. He sees the thread once again. And it's the first time he goes Hinokami. And has a beautiful animation in-game. Beautiful animation right here, too. They cut the best parts because they want you to do the final quick time event. Moving on to the Mugen Train, this one does things a little bit differently. Anmu here, well, he's also kind of a mashing boss fight. He's gonna put every player to sleep. And we gotta wake up before anyone else does by mashing as hard as we can. And we gotta do this like 3 times. Alright, the second one is done. Here's the third one, and cutscene. Here we go. Perfect timing, nice. Now he's gonna go into phase 2 and become a monster. And this, I think, is the surge animation in the middle of Phase 2 Enmu during story mode. Oh, we gotta mash again? Okay. Also, it's not just the animations. If you look at the stage here, this is the exact same stage as that boss fight, that Phase 2 boss fight. And obviously, once you fill up the bar, you have Tanjiro doing Hekira no Ten. And that is, once again, the exact same cutscene that is in Hinokami Chronicles. Straight up recycled, it's the same thing, frame by frame. Now, I said earlier that it doesn't matter which character you pick. So far, all the finishing moves have been from Tanjiro, and I have picked Tanjiro. But the truth is, it would be Tanjiro no matter who you picked. And you can see that's true with this boss fight right here with Akaza. Now, I'm actually going to need your help for Akaza, because I don't know where these cutscenes come from. But it's either story mode or it's their ultimate attack. Also, this animation right here, that's straight up air type. He's just doing air type, which is his skill move during the game. So yeah, jumps into the air. That spinning animation is beautiful. I think that's in story mode as well. But as far as like cinematics go, you tell me if this is story mode or if this is his ultimate. Because I think the two of them are very similar. That might be... I'm going to say ultimate, but you correct me in the comments if you know. Now, who finishes Akaza? It's definitely not Tanjiro. So we are going to see Rengoku doing the finishing animation here. And as you can see, there's no Rengoku on this party. I'm playing Tanjiro, there's Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Gyu. And still, Rengoku comes out. And once again, this is either his ultimate or during story mode. I'm not 100% sure either. Alright. Alright. Rengoku and big flame pillar. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That's it. And if you remember the first Demon Slayer story mode, that was the end of it. Entertainment District characters are in the first Demon Slayer, but the story mode does not go that far. So can we find some hints on the new story mode in Demon Slayer 2 by playing the Entertainment District boss fights here? The answer is yes. We're gonna start with Daki, who is a playable character in Hinokami Chronicles, but she was not a part of the story. And I think there's something here that will look familiar, but slightly different, you know, just different enough for you to go, hang on, was that new? I'm just gonna let it play at first and try to not influence you too much. Just look at it and tell me what you think. Okay, so let's pause right there and let's replay that thing. Hang on, I gotta do this. Okay, now we can pause. So what we see first is very familiar because that is her surge animation. But what happens after the surge animation is usually it zooms in on her face. And in this game, it kind of zooms out. My guess is that that is indeed her surge animation, but not for the character you play, for the boss fight that you face in story mode. And there's an extra hint in this boss fight that supports this theory. We just gotta get through these quick time events, this full boss fight. We gotta to fill up the bar up there. Perfect directions, perfect timing, twice. 3 perfects, and here it comes. Inosuke, man. That is one of the most gorgeous animations that this game has. And that tells me that that's new. That Inosuke animation is not present in any of his ultimates in the first Hinokami Chronicles or any moment in story mode. I think that is brand new for the Demon Slayer 2 story mode for the boss fight against Daki. That's how the story mode finishes, that boss fight with Inosuke doing that fantastic attack. It looks so good. And Gyutaro is somewhat similar. There's something familiar about one of his animations, but is also like slightly different, so it could be boss fights in story mode. We'll see. And then a clear sign that oh, there's a boss fight in here for sure. Now this event takes a while, so we're just gonna skip ahead to the cutscenes. Okay, we filled up the bar, and now Gyutaro just jumps back, and look at this one. So that is very, very similar to the animation of his ultimate attack, but I think the camera is slightly zoomed out more. Now, it could just be a rework of his ultimate for Demon Slayer 2, or it could be when he does this move during story mode. I think it's probably that. It's probably a story mode ultimate. And then once you complete this quick time event, this is also a brand new animation for Tanjiro. I have looked through all the animations on Tanjiro during story mode where he uses Hinokami. That exact zoom in on his face and the angle of the sword is brand new. It does not exist in the Hinokami Chronicles. So that is another preview of Demon Slayer 2 story mode. With that, we have to move on to the biggest preview of all, because there is absolutely no Swordsmith Village content in Hinokami Chronicles at all. And we have a Swordsmith Village board right here with Gyoko as well as Hatengu boss fights. And there's actually one more fight that we're gonna check out first, which is Yorichi Type 0 doll battle. This doll also got its own game mode, and there's a lot of animation work done here. Now, I think this will probably end up being... Oh, I filled that because I'm talking at the same time. But I think this will probably end up being a mini game during story mode of sorts. But there's actually this cutscene right here. It's short, but there's something there, right? Now, the doll also has a lot of animation done for his attacks. Could he be a playable character in Demon Slayer 2? Hard to say. Personally, I'd love to see it. More characters, more fun. But I don't think we have enough here to conclude that. I think the most we can say is that he will be a part of story mode in some way. But let's get to the new demons, starting with Gyoko. Now, when Gyoko spawns in the board game, he actually spawns multiple vases. And when you find him, he will actually be in vase form. That said, when you start the boss battle, he will immediately be in his final form, as you can see right here. So I think this will be the playable version of Gyoko. I don't think he will start in the vases at all. But the vases are probably going to be a part of story mode. So you'll see the vase and you might even have a vase mode boss fight. But the playable character, I think, will be this guy. Once we fill up the bar, we have our first animation, and I think this is Gyoko's surge animation right here. I don't know, that just looks like a surge animation to me. And there's also a few attack animations right here as we try to deflect. Actually, let me just get hit by one so you can see the full attack concluding. All right, punch me. There you go. So there's like 2 or 3 attacks here they might be reusing them for his moveset later on. But, you know, it's simple stuff. We do have some bigger stuff coming up after we fill up this full bar. So let's do our best to complete the quick time events. This one takes a while. All right, we should have one more. That's a perfect timing. And I think this is our first look at Muichiro's ultimate attack. Now, it's short. It's only 2 shots, but I think that is it. Finishes with a big slash. It's beautiful. And that's your first look at Muichiro. But Hatengu actually gives us even more than Gyoko. He has a bunch of stuff. So when Hatengu spawns, you actually have to find the little guy. But if along the way you land in any other spots that have the other splits of Hatengu, you can see that all the character models have been fully built. Now, they might be lower quality because look at those pants. And all they do is a simple attack animation like this one right here. So it's hard to say if they'll take a full separate character slot or if they're just going to be a part of story mode. My guess is that they're a part of story mode and nothing else. But more important than that, once you actually catch Hatengu, you see the animation of all the forms merging together to make Zohakuten. Now, Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles does not have character intros at all, so I think this is once again a story mode event. It's not a character intro or anything of the sort. That said, once everyone is absorbed, that's when the boss fight actually begins. So here we go. There's a lot of new animations here. A lot of new stuff, for real. Now, it's hard to say how much of it is character movesets and how much of it is story mode boss fight. Because this guy is the most story mode boss fight I've ever seen. You know, he's just standing there and the dragons are doing all the work. I didn't even look at it. There's some animation of Mitsuri doing stuff. This might be his surge animation or part of his ultimate. I am not sure. It could be either or. It really could. Okay, so we got to get the directions now. And after the directions... Now, most boss fights only have 2 new animations, right? You've noticed this pattern up till now. This guy has more. So here comes animation number 2. Mitsuri Ultimate. Your first look at a Mitsuri Ultimate. Looks great so far. You know, that wasn't a lot, but so far it looks really good. Fill up this bar. And this is my favorite, guys. This one is my favorite. Little guy starts running away. And guess what? Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, baby. So that, I think, is going to be a story mode event. It could be a new ultimate for Tanjiro, or it could even be a new version of Tanjiro, who knows. But at the very least, that's going to be a story mode ultimate. And I think they would be smart to include that move, or at least that move in a version of Tanjiro once they finally release the game. And that's it. That's all of the signs of a Demon Slayer 2 being made in Sweep the Board. I truly think this has been our first look at Demon Slayer 2. These animations will be right there in that game 1-to-1. Just like they have pulled animations from the first game's story mode into Sweep the Board, they are pulling animations from Demon Slayer 2's story mode into Sweep the Board as well. That's gonna do it for today though. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if you want more Sweep the Board, here's my first time playing the game along with Biscuit, Kani Deku, and Trader PC. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.